Oh man, I just rode in an airplane and boy are my arms tired. Anyway, so in this episode we're continuing the adventures of Sonic looking for Amy. She should still be in this city. This part of the game is a little weird in this story where, I don't know, Sonic seems to remember that Amy exists, but as a player, after Twinkle Park, I pretty much forget that Sonic's looking for Amy, and it's just like, I don't know, Sonic's on this vendetta against Eggman the entire time. Anyway, we're doing Red Mountain today, which is covered by both Knuckles and Sonic. Red Mountain has quite a few interesting features to it, I think. It's a stage that definitely shows off that this is Sonic's first 3D game, and Sonic's team is still having a lot of fun experimenting with different ideas for 3D platforming structures. So, I'll see you in Knuckles. Alright, we'll be doing Knuckles first. E102 actually visits this stage as well, but sadly we're not covering him in this LP. Anyway, I'm gonna have to go back to a different point in this stage before we really start. Last time I said that Knuckles always visits a part of a Sonic stage that has a bunch of different paths that run in conflicting directions. Well, I should have said primarily Knuckles appears in those parts because, well, I'll just let Tikal say it for me. You're going the wrong way. As if... Okay, so normally Knuckles visits parts of Sonic stages where paths are like spaghetti. They're just strung together in... Basically, there's no end to one path, so much as one path runs into another infinitely, and there's no dead end so much as just one path ends and another path begins at the same spot. This is different, on the other hand. When Sonic plays through this part, he has to travel in one path. And that's why I went and glided down there at the very beginning. Right now I'm showing you the path Sonic would have to take in this level. Except there are parts where they take out stuff, like up ahead there's supposed to be a spring, but Knuckles is going to have to glide up there. Or no, a rocket? Yeah, it's a rocket. Anyway. So when you can see this level is basically a bunch of pillars or cylinders or something jutting up from the ground, which is infinitely below us. I guess they're supposed to be mountains, parts of a mountain. Not very mountainy, but whatever. Yes, anyway. So when Sonic plays through, he basically has two different ways of moving in the level. A, he will run around a pillar, and he'll either run around it up or run around it down. And when he gets to the very bottom or the very top of basically corkscrewing around the pillar, you get to motion B, which is leaping to another pillar. So if you can imagine, it's like a bunch of ice caps strung together. Remember how Ice Cap was basically Sonic going on a corkscrew inside the cave? Well, basically, Sonic goes on a corkscrew around each pillar, and then he goes to a different pillar, and there's a new corkscrew, so on and so forth. But the neat thing is, even though Sonic has to go through this in one direction and there aren't, too many path switch-ups or anything like that, it still makes for a really interesting Knuckles stage. Because, basically, when you're Sonic, you can only you can only concentrate on one pillar to the next, and yeah, you'll only go from one pillar to one other pillar. You don't have any choice in the matter. However, when you go through as Knuckles, when you get up high enough, you see just a whole bunch of stuff in front of you, and you can glide to anything you want to. So whereas Sonic was trapped on this one linear path, Knuckles' gliding and climbing abilities basically let him screw up the order of the level and do whatever he wants. And, I mean, I'm not even sure I noticed it was the same area the first time I played through the game, because just, like, they don't even start you where at the beginning of the so-called path. They start you more in the middle. So it's interesting to see how Knuckles basically breaks down what is so linear for Sonic. Also, another thing I should mention. I've been complaining a lot about the camera, but I just realized the other day that if you go to the pause menu, there's a free camera option, and that, like, basically what that does is it stops the camera from auto-adjusting and lets you do whatever you want with it. Basically, the free camera versus the auto camera is the classic Lakitu camera versus Mario camera distinction. And I don't know why we don't have that in games still. Anyway, so yeah, that combined with the GameCube C-Stick makes, I mean, I don't know, the camera does everything I want to now that I, just looked at the pause menu. Anyway, we got Sonic up next.